Hello, Watem here, and welcome back to some more Umineko When Seagulls Cry. Well, seems like they managed to make their way outside of the fence, easily enough. Yeah, I was kind of expecting them not to make it that far. Like, as soon as she, either being unable to make it through the fence, because of the barrier, or like once she gets through, just collapsing on the spot. In any case, let's continue. Every time she found something, she'd ask me about it. And they were all really trivial things. What's that flower? What's that leaf? And that sound? And that smell? It really was like the inside of that fence had been her entire world. So now that she'd travelled beyond the limits of her world, it's strange. When I first saw her, I really thought she was the witch herself, relaxing inside the witch's mansion. Okay, it just didn't feel like it flowed after the "it's strange." Oh, bad. But now it was different, or actually, the complete opposite. She'd left a world she'd believed to be finite, and was overjoyed at the realization that the world was endless, something she'd never thought of before. So everything she saw was new. It was almost as though she was the one who had been thrown into a fairy tale. If she was Alice, then I felt almost like a rabbit holding a watch. To her, it was probably a really fun walk, filled to the brim with excitement. But I was actually at a loss at what to do. After all, I walked randomly to get there. Of course I didn't know the way back to our mansion. There were no lights in the forest, and I hadn't brought a flashlight. I realized it would be terrible if it got dark while we were still like this, and grew impatient. She was too innocent, and apparently she couldn't understand at all how frightening it would be to face the night inside the forest. But I was the one who brought her outside. I had to take responsibility somehow and resolve the situation. So, I had a thought. Let's go out to the ocean for now. If we then follow the beach round, we should eventually make it back to the mansion. However, that was much more of a problem than I had imagined. I didn't have a map or a compass. There was no way I could walk in a straight line through an uncultivated forest, and I immediately lost my sense of direction. I already had no clue which trail I'd come by, and was completely lost. At this rate, night would definitely fall before I had a clue where to walk. But this was no time to cry. After all, that woman following behind me was so innocent and having so much fun. So, I definitely had to lead the way through this forest, for the sake of her smile as well. Gritting my teeth so that she didn't see me looking troubled, I pushed my way through the woods, advancing down a path that wasn't a path. Then, after going through various troubles, I fortunately managed to reach the ocean. At that time, I still didn't even have a clue where I was on the island. But for the time being, I was just a little reassured, realizing that if I just went around this way, I would surely be able to return to the mansion. However, though I had reached the ocean, we were at the top of a rock cliff. The beach was far below us. I was tired from walking around the forest for so long, so I figured that an open area, even a rocky beach, would probably be much easier to walk in. So I suggested that we go down that rocky cliff somehow. It looked pretty dangerous, but I figured there was no other way. However, Beatrice agreed to my plan without any doubts. Even though she was probably older than me, she meekly obeyed, almost as though she was some kind of chick who thought I was her mother. I searched to see if there was some part of the cliff I'd be able to get down. Then, I found a place where the cliff had fallen over and made a slope. It looked a little dangerous, but if I went down using both hands and both legs like I was crawling, I thought it'd probably be okay.
ここを降りましょう。気をつけないと危ないけど。とにかく海岸に降りて、あとは沿って歩けば、もう迷わずに済むと思うの。 ローザがそうするのならそうしようぞ。わらわは迷うとやらも楽しいぞ。とても愉快だ。
She really had no sense of danger. There was probably no doubt that she'd lived a life without discomfort. Even though she knew it would get dark when night fell, she couldn't imagine how dangerous the inside of a forest could be without light. Furthermore, it seemed that she couldn't grasp at all how dangerous it might be if she fell from the cliff. I warned her repeatedly to be careful. I cautiously examined our potential route down. It seemed to be quite a long drop. I think I might... It might have been about 10 meters down. If you looked at it from the bottom up, it would probably have looked shorter than the roof of a mansion. But looking from the top, it felt almost like staring down from the observation room on Tokyo Tower. But Beatrice still appeared to be completely without fear. Felt as though she had never even been taught that high places were dangerous. No. Maybe she believed that she was a witch, and that she could fly, so there wasn't any need to worry.
気をつけてくださいね。結構高いから。うん。気をつけるぞ。下へ降りたら海があるな。そこに水族館があるのか。いえ、この島には水族館はないですよ。でも海にはたくさんの魚がいると思います。そうか、魚はいるのか。そなたが話してくれたクジラとかイルカとかペンギンとかはいるのか。
Probably not penguins that far off.
そういうのは水族館に行かないといないです。水族館は島を出ないとないですよ。そうなのか。だが楽しみだ。クジラとはどんな魚なのか。
They're mammals.
すっごく大きな魚で、あれ、哺乳類かな。それで潮を吹いたりします。ならばイルカは頭のいい魚で、あれこれも哺乳類だっけ。
Next she's gonna ask about the penguins. It's like, yeah, oh wait, aren't they birds?
とても頭が良くて芸とかを覚えられるんですよ。ならばペンギンはどうなのか。あれこれは鳥類だっけ。なんだ、水族館なのにさっきから魚が出てこんぞ。
They live in water.
まあその魚だけでなくいろいろな海の生き物がいっぱいいるんですよ。ほほー、それはとても楽しみだ。
Blushing Beatrice is too cute. What? She let out what might have been a very funny, rushed, and short cry. No, it was probably a scream. It came right out of the blue. Her body separated from the cliff, and silently fell. I immediately wanted to say something to her. I wanted to say, "Didn't I tell you to be more careful?" It was the thought of a child. It was how a child immediately gets mad when something bad happens, trying to find an excuse to show it wasn't their fault. Of course, I said it out loud. "Are you okay? Didn't I warn you over and over?" And there was no response. Bright light.
それで崖から落ちてどうなったんだ。
You're gonna ask that? You're actually gonna...
彼女はどうしたんだ。
What do you think happened to her?
ローザ。
Rosa fell silent. Her gaze dropped to her feet, as though she was seeing through the floor into some disgusting memory.
死んだ。なんで。
Eva's brutal words were the ones Rosa had most wanted to avoid. And when she was hit with them, she screamed in resignation.
死んだわ。岩浜だったもの。尖った危険な岩がたくさんむき出しになっていた。目を見開いたまますごい血が溢れ出して、たちまち真っ赤な絨毯を広げていった。声をかけたわ、揺さぶったわ。でも彼女は返事はおろか、瞬きすらも。私が悪いのよ。彼女はドレス姿だったのよ。あんな動きにくい格好なのを知っていたのに、私が歌舞伎を降りようなんて言ってしまったから。彼女はすごい素直だったから、私の言うことに何の疑いもせずに従って。
いつまで死んでいるつもりか。いい加減に目を覚ませ。まったくわらわの預かり知れぬところで勝手に肉塊に姿を変えようって。
She's talking about Batman.
おめえのとこの太もも姉ちゃんとイチャついてただけだぜ。それよりこれはどういうことだ。
Yes, I have to say, Battle, you've certainly got an interesting style of flirting.
見たままえ。わらわは足を踏み外して転落し死んだ。
なんだと？
Yes, that's certainly something you hear from someone every day. I died.
19人目として登場しておきながら死んだだと。
Yep.
ふざけるな。そんなわけはない。
As impossible as witches.
ローザおばさんは子供だったし焦ってた。医者がいたわけでもない。多分死んだと誤解しただけだ。お前は多分その仮死状態か何かで生きていたんだ。
I mean, technically we don't have confirmation that she was the only one in the mansion.
そうだろ。
It can't be true. She's got to be alive. Otherwise, how can she be here? Kid-aged Aunt Rosa shook Beatrice's body, crying. I stared into that face too, but her eyes were still open, and it really was a corpse. I wanted to dodge the issue by saying something vague like, she must be playing dead. But no matter how I looked at it, it didn't look fake at all. It really did look like she was dead. Beatrice had fallen upside down from a cliff of that height, and her head had smashed against the pointed tip of those sharp rocks. You would die, wouldn't you, after landing on those rocks from that height? But I couldn't accept it. No matter how dead she looked, she had to be alive. And she went on to become this damn irritating witch. That makes all of the inconsistencies fit. Grandfather must have kept her confined constantly in a hidden mansion. Then, to take revenge for that, she committed several atrocious murders. Aunt Rosa probably just mistakenly thought she was dead. But she was actually alive, and as soon as Aunt Rosa left, would miraculously breathe again. Right. Then, she somehow lived on until today, and opened the curtain on her revenge drama. Otherwise, the facts don't fit together.
そう簡単には騙されねえぞ。赤で復唱できるか。確かに死んだと。どうせ生きてるんだろ。見え見えだぜ。
Is the wording going to be Beatrice is dead?
それのどこが生きているように見えるというのか。
Or how can I trust this vision?
間違いなく死んでいる。
It's definitely dead. My theory that the 19th person was grandfather's mistress, a human Beatrice, had been defeated. I'd planned to strike back from a defensive position, but...
なら、お前は何者だってんだ。
Beatrice.
お前はたった今死んだんだろうが。まさか魔法で蘇ったとか言い出すんじゃねえだろうな。
No. I didn't revive myself. Kinza revived me. Honestly, don't you remember? That's the whole point of a ritual. There's definitely... there's something hidden there, perhaps? The way she referred to it dead? I mean, even if she said Beatrice is dead, there still leaves room for interpretation.
すでに説明したと思うがな。そこに倒れているわらわは確かに魂はわらわだが、その体はわらわをうつしおへつなぎ止めておく肉の檻に過ぎなかった。そしてその肉の檻がこうして壊れた。それがどういうことかわかるか？
I am interested to see Beatrice potentially meet with Rosa
もうさっぱりだぜ。
later on in this episode.
好きなだけ魔女こと奥に興じろよ。
I want to see Rosa's reaction to seeing her.
チャカの代わりに聞いてやら。なんだ、空っぽか。おい、紅茶のおかわりを頼むぜ。
ロノウェ、客人が紅茶をお望みだ。
When Beato clapped her hands, Ronove appeared. But the sure are convenient.
おかわりですね。かしこまりました。どの程度お継ぎしましょうか。
どうせチャカがボリューム満点だろうからよ。半分でいいぜ。
それでもなみなみとお入れするのが英国式でございます。
What, are you an English demon? Even though just enough to wet my throat would have been fine, he filled it to the top. Why ask then? Anyway, I turned my back to Beato, sipping it in silence. Enjoying the scene of your death.
ちょっと目を覚ましてよ。
But they are open.
ベアトリーチェ
Rosa shook me. No, shook the corpse that had once been me. I watched over her from a short distance away. Ah, so I fell from there and died. For a while I believed that was true. I saw Rosa spend a long time beside my corpse, then watched her as she ran away. Eventually, I realized that I was a different individual from that corpse.
わらわはわらわか。ようやく金蔵の戒めから逃れられたのか。
Eventually, I felt the memory returning. The fact that I was an endless witch who had lived for 1,000 years. Then, I remembered that I'd been summoned by Kinzo, and that I'd been imprisoned by him for a long time. While being imprisoned in a cage of flesh, I completely lost my memory as a witch. However, thanks to Rosa, if you could say that. Thanks to my accidental death, I'd now finally regained myself.
ローザ、そなたはわらわを死なせてしまったと後悔しているだろうが、わらわにとっては感謝したいくらいよ。
I couldn't see Rosa anymore. Did she go to call a doctor? Or was she so terrified that she ran away? It no longer matters. That soulless shell no longer has any value. And yet, I'm so frail now. Even this glorious midday sun is agony to me. I destroyed my human form. Then, I changed it into several gold butterflies. Yes, with my magical power as frail as it is now, this form is easier to maintain. To escape even a little from the light of the sun, I rode the wind and gently flew up the side of the cliff. It will probably be a bit cooler in the forest. Anyway, I'll take some time to recuperate. and regain my former power. As I ponder how to make Kinzo pay up all he owes me. Dancing alone through the air, I looked down at the shore one more time. On the rocky shore lay the figure of what had once been me, the figure I would eventually regain. To regain the form of that physical body I'd thrown away, probably take more than 100, 200 days. It might require 1,000 days, or perhaps even more. Apparently about 20 years. However, I am the Endless Witch. The Golden Witch who has lived for 1,000 years. Waiting any countable number of days would be no problem. Oh, Kinzo. Regret that you are not here now. No longer will you be able to capture me.
それで、お前は黄金の蝶に姿を変え、森の中に潜んで魔力が回復するのを待った。
Effectively.
そういうことだ。そなたを嘲笑するためにこの姿を取るが、本来は蝶たちの姿でいた方が魔力的には楽なのだ。
I do like the immature just very specifically taking it to sneer at him. It's like, yeah, I could just be golden butterflies, but to really drive the point home and sneer at you, I will take this more difficult form.
無理しねえで楽な格好で嫌がれよ。ムカつく笑い声を聞かずに済むぜ。
蝶に姿を変え、森に紛れたわらわを探し出すことなど、もはや金蔵には不可能なこと。だが、金蔵も指を加えているわけではなかった。
Oh.
しかし、わらわを捕らえる方法はすぐに用意はできぬ。そのため、まずはわらわをこの島から逃さぬ方法。そして、わらわが力を取り戻すことがないよう、即座に手を打ったのだ。
Something about the mirror?
やれやれ。とにかく金蔵の執念深いことと言ったら、想像を絶する。あれに惚れられるのも、なかなかに辛いものだぞ。
蝶になったお前を逃がさない方法？なんだよ。森全体に蚊帳でも張ったってのか？
うん。それを魔法的に行ったのだ。
No, that's less fun.
そなたは知っておるか？
Nope.
船着き場の先の洋上に岩礁が浮かび、そこに小さな東洋魔術の祠があることを。
ああ、あれか。今年はなくなってたけどな。
Exactly.
昔、修験者が作ってったとかいう祠なんだろ？
六軒島は元来、歪みのある島でございます。魔力的な存在や、それに類した存在を引きつけます。お嬢様も、そんなうちのお一人でございましょうね。紅茶のおかわりはいかがですか？
いただこうぞ。それらは人間たちに害をなし、おそらく数々の不気味なる伝承を残してきたであろう。それを聞きつけた東洋魔術師が古代に設けたのがあの祠なのだ。長い時間を経て、その力は失われておった。金蔵はそれを修復することで島の結界をよみがえらせ、わらわを再び島に縛り付けたのだ。
西洋魔女のお前に東洋の魔法なんて通じるのかよ。
Magic is magic.
本来は相性が悪い。
Huh.
しかしわらわを封じたいという目的においては ある意味都合が良かっただろうな。
He didn't have the means to, or knowledge to prevent it, maybe?
わらわも西洋魔術であれば心得がある。どのような結界であっても何かの手が打てたであろう。しかし東洋魔術は専門外よ。わらわが飲まんとするスープに対しスプーンではなく箸を与えられたようなものだ。
東洋魔術が強く支配する空間では、西洋魔術はひどく力を失います。ただでさえ1000日はかけたであろう力を取り戻す時間を、さらに長くかけねばならなかったのです。
それで約20年かけて魔力を取り戻し、今
I'll go back to that one.
辛く長い年月であった。
So going back to Bachelor's Line.
それで約20年かけて魔力を取り戻し、今こうして蘇ったって言いたいのか？
わらわは黄金の蝶の姿のまま長く日々を送り、金蔵の屋敷を見つけ、奴の日常を見守った。どのように仕返しをしてやろうか、それを思案することだけを日々の楽しみに生きてきた。わらわにとって幸運だったのはその間の20年間。金蔵はわらわを探し出し、捕らえるあらゆる秘術にことごとく失敗した点、人間に起こせる奇跡の数などたかが知れている。わらわをあれだけ長く捕らえていただけでも十分に身に過ぎた奇跡だ。そう何度も捕らえられてはたまらぬわ。
じいさまが前のゲームだかで言ってたな。
What did you say?
魔法は確率的奇跡に宿るみたいなことをよ。
金蔵はわらわを再び捕らえる秘術を探るうちにそこに行き着いたのだ。そして13人の生贄を捧げることでわらわを再び蘇らせる儀式をついに編み出したのだ。
13人の生贄。
それが魔女の碑文、生贄の歌でございます。第1の番に6人、第2の番に2人、そして第4の番から第8の番にかけて5人、合計13人の生贄を捧げる禁じられた儀式。その生贄はランダムに決められ、儀式を執り行う金蔵自身も例外にはなりません。
バカ野郎、この島で起こったあの凄惨な殺人が全部おかしな儀式だって言うのかよ。
I had a vague idea that this might be the case, but I couldn't just hear that it was true from a witch and the demon and say, "Oh, really?" and accept it.
六軒島には18人いる。13人が生贄に捧げられ、5人だけが生き残る。
Except none shall be left alive.
そしてわらわはよみがえる。つまり金蔵がわらわに再び会える確率はだいたい3分の1といったところか。その確率に自らの命を落とし、残りわずかな寿命の最後の一瞬にわらわとの再会を望んだのだ。
そのふざけた儀式のために俺たち親族が集められたってのかよ。ふざけやがって。
Says in red.
いい加減なことを抜かすんじゃねえ。
もとより契約の通りだ。金蔵の生を終えるとき、貸し与えた黄金と、そして金蔵が生み出した財産のすべてをわらわがもらい受けることになっておる。金蔵には散々に英雄を飲まされたが、 今となってはこの1000年でも稀な時間だった。何しろ魔女の天敵は退屈よ。それから逃れることのできる数十年間を提供した金蔵には、なるほど、それも含めて借りがあるやもしれぬ。わらわは金蔵のゲームに乗ることにした。そしてまず金蔵は後宮家当主の指輪をわらわに返却する。わらわの黄金で復興させた家だからな。そして13人の生贄を気まぐれに決めるのだ。そしてその過程でお前たちが右往左往し、わらわに立ち向かおうとさまざまな人間模様を見せてくれることは、わらわにとって非常に愉快なことだ。わらわはこの金蔵のゲームを実に気に入っている。
That being said,
あ
they aren't all. This isn't completely random. So, for example, its first two Twilights can't be completely random. The following Twilights can be, as far as I can tell so far at least. But yeah, so the second Twilight obviously can't be completely random because it needs to have a pair. And I'm pretty sure the first Twilight has a covering which then prevents the second Twilight. With the first 6. But in any case, I will be ending it there for today. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments. And until next time, see ya.